before we jump into the video, make sure you check out my Patreon account. It's designed for serious medical aesthetics providers just like you. Hi, Dr. Weiner.
Hello. Just got back from Atlanta. I did a weekend's worth of trainings with ultrasound, and then I did the AIA anatomy course.
Very cool. So just a little introduction for people who aren't aware. So Dr. Stephen Weiner is a facial plastic surgeon in Florida. He's switched to 100% non-invasive treatments, put down a scalpel in 2005, and he's basically a world leader when it comes down to dermal fillers and also when it comes to sonography or ultrasound. So basically you have about almost 30 years under your belt into this field, right? And you've been doing it for a while. And honestly, whenever I first started getting into medical aesthetics, you were one of the very first faces I've seen on YouTube, and I was searching you around. So this is a real honor for me to do this Instagram live with you, and I'm really excited to talk with you about this ultrasound machine.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's good to be here.
So what we'll do is there's a couple things. So I want to basically address a few things for providers. Some providers are always wondering, like, is this worth bringing into my office? What realistically can I get out of this? There's a lot of tools, there's a lot of gimmicks going around. Is this something that really I'm going to use? And also for anyone who's a client out there wondering, is this actually safer for me than, compared to going to someone who is really knowledgeable in the practice, who's been doing this for a while, and, they're not using an ultrasound machine? What's the benefit really? So I think to start off, for you, what's the number one reason why you enjoy using the ultrasound machine?
Well, it gives me a lot of confidence in the areas that are a little bit tricky, like in the piriform space, temple, chin. So there I can analyze where I want to inject and see if the arteries are in the way, like the angular artery or the deep temporal artery or the superficial temporal artery or the ascending submental artery. And so that just overall makes the whole procedure safer. I've seen a lot of occlusions with that deep injection in the piriform, and it takes me about 30 seconds aside, and I can tell you exactly where that artery is and decide whether I want to go deep or superficial by looking at the ultrasound. But not only that, it helps me out in times when there are problems, whether it is an occlusion or just perhaps a filler that's gone wrong, whether it's nodular or swelling or something like that, migration. So I see a lot of problems around the eyes from long-term filler that used to look really good, and then somehow during its breakdown, it started to cause some swelling and some lumps or something.
I've seen that too, actually, and it's been surprising because I have announced that I've had this ultrasound, technique, and I've been using it primarily just to, if I'm going to use a needle, exactly chin, piriform, temple, nose. Like for those, I prefer kind of using a needle at times for precision, so that the filler's not going to move as much. And in that case, I would like to know exactly where these arteries are, so I'm going to use it for that. But what's been surprising is because I made the announcement that we have it and we can also locate filler, I've been getting lots of calls for people to, come in and say, listen, I think I have migrated filler. I've seen other providers and like, no, that's just swelling and that's just edema, but I'm 100% confident that this is, some filler. I'm like, yeah, come on in, let's check it out. And sure enough, you do the ultrasound, you see a pocket of dark space there on the ultrasound, and it takes, like you said, 30 seconds just to kind of get it going. And, even I'm shocked at times because I would expect that potentially that could be just some water retention, but no, it's filler. It's been there for like 7 years.
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm seeing is, again, around the eyes, 5, 7, I've had one maybe 10 or 12 years that it definitely was filler, got better with Hylenex, and, cured a problem that was plaguing these people for years and years and years. So yeah, but it's also educational too. Like, am I injecting in the plane I think I'm injecting, or is the filler still in there? A lot of people come and say, oh, I got injected, but I think the filler's all gone. Then you take a look at it. No, look here, Mr. Smith or Mrs. Smith. It's still right there. Looks like it's all doing very well. And, it gives them a boost of confidence. It gives everyone a boost of confidence that you're taking the time and effort to go that extra step to ensure safety in your patients. And then you can educate them as well. I haven't met one patient who, says, I'm in a hurry. I don't have the time to take a look at the filler or to take those preliminary steps to make the procedure more safe.
Same. If I have to do one of those techniques and I'm going to take my ultrasound out, I just want to make sure that we're safe. I'm doing my best to be as safe as I can, but this is just going to ensure that. And I show the measurements, and it's so intuitive and easy for not only the provider, for me, but also the clients understand what we're seeing, right? The top is the skin, the bottom is the bone, everything is in between. And then you can also almost see like this mass layer. You can see like the pockets if there is filler, and they're like, wow, yeah, you're absolutely right. So I've been really impressed with it. It took me a little while to kind of get used to it, because in practice, you're kind of like almost in a rush to kind of like go between patients. But whenever you slow down and you use this machine and you practice it, you learn to love it. But it does take a little bit of practice, just because you have to understand, the dynamics with, you have to understand like the power Doppler versus the color Doppler, and how those are unique. But it's a great tool. And just like anything you're going to use, I don't know any machine or any technology that you don't have to put in a little bit of time to understand it. So the amount of time that it took for me to get used to it was almost nothing. And I think I was just being lazy initially. But yeah, now that I'm getting used to it, I'm really happy.
I think most people, I do recommend that you do go to a course, some type of course. Both I and Danny Shear and Dr. Stella in Seattle, we all give courses. If you want to go the extra mile, you can go to Amsterdam to see the cutaneous group. That's where I learned about 3 years ago. I don't even go to just one course. Do you go to one injection course? No. Do you go? So we all have a little bit different techniques and pearls for you guys to learn. I pretty much say that if you go to my course, that by the time you leave, you'll be able to use the ultrasound. Are you going to be proficient? No. It's just like going to piano lesson. You got to go to piano lesson, you got to practice at home. And it will take you a good few months to gain your confidence. In between those first few months, I do recommend continuing to take pictures. And if you're unsure of what you're looking at, because later you can take a look at it, oh yeah, that's what it was. Now I understand. But also I highly recommend a good knowledge of the anatomy, because that really helps you. Okay, if this is the bone and this is the muscle, okay, this must be the SMAS, or this must be the DAO. And by moving your muscles too, that really gives you clues, like clenching, smiling, frowning. That gives you, okay, that must be the DLI or the DAO, the masseter, or the temporalis. So then you get clues from that. And then the different filler have all different characteristics too. Your HAs have one type of characteristic. They're going to be black, anechoic. Then you have your calcium hydroxyapatites. They're going to be super white, hyperechoic. And then, sculpture is going to be kind of cloudy, and silicone is going to be that snowstorm. So everything has its characteristics. I'm actually getting to the point where I can sometimes discern between different HAs because of their characteristics in the tissues.
So for me, one thing was interesting. I ended up treating a temple, and then after that, I ended up doing an ultrasound right away. I saw that it was really deep, and I showed them, like, this is actually, I just want to see what it looks like. I showed afterwards, I'm like, oh wow, that's a nice little deep pocket. And then we came back because I knew that I wanted to do a little bit of a top up. So I had them come back in about 4 weeks, and they came back 4 weeks later, and I wanted to see what it looked like. And even from that 4-week period, you saw the filler move a little bit from the bone. Like, it does move. It's going to push its way out. So that was really interesting to me. And it got me thinking, about the rheology and of fillers. And this was pretty thick stuff. I know that, basically if you're using a very thin filler, you can put it as deep as you want, but it's usually going to go move to the surface. And also depending on, how tight that muscle is. This is a really tight muscle. That's going to probably just squeeze it out of the way. So that was really interesting for me.
Yeah, I agree. It's very interesting to see how fillers behave after they're injected, and how you think you put it in one place and ends up not necessarily in that place. For instance, putting it on the mandible, well, two things are you're fighting. One is that when you inject, there's going to be a path of least resistance, which allows the filler to go on either side of the needle and come back up towards the skin surface. But also the masseter, you chew, you talk, whatever, you're moving around a lot. And there's not really a pocket along the periosteum. So it ends up in the masseter. Same thing with the temporalis, as you noted. Things move around with time. And then you put it around the eye, you blink thousands of times a day. And it's a very thin area where you're putting it in, the tear trough. It's like skin, ligament, and muscle and bone. I mean, there's not much area to put it in and for it to stay. So oftentimes it does go into the eyelid and it causes edema. So I'm dissolving a lot around the eyes these days.
Awesome. We're done then. Thanks everyone for
Okay.
joining, and thank you, Dr. Weiner. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.